LaTeX is a language that is used to typeset and format documents. Students, instructors, and textbook authors alike employ LaTeX for its flexibility and aesthetic appeal. For instance, a document that looks like this can be compiled and generated with this corresponding code. Fundamentally, however, LaTeX is very difficult to learn, and many people who have never used it before have trouble getting started, as the syntax may look a bit daunting. Existing documentation such as Not So Short Introduction to LaTeX are, well, not so short. This specific manual runs on for 171 pages. To put it simply, college students in specific do not have the time to invest in learning LaTeX, though, as we've seen during polling in our class presentations and user testing, many would actually like to be able to learn the language. The solution for all this? LaZe. LaZe is an easy-to-use speech-to-LaTeX interpreter that allows users to get instant results and also helps them learn LaTeX as they use the application. By hitting the microphone button on the home screen, users are able to give the application speech input. For instance,
integral from 5 to infinity of the quantity x squared and quantity.
The application then allows the user to edit their input and then submit it. The user is then taken to the results page, where he or she can see the English input, the generated LaTeX code, and the rendered LaTeX image of what his or her code would look like. The user can also edit the English input, as shown here. After the user edits the input, he or she can tap the refresh button, which in turn will refresh both the LaTeX code and the rendered LaTeX image. The user can then email the code and the image to themselves or to other users. This eliminates the need to compile the code, as the image is also emailed. There's also the history page, which shows all the past entries by date. Here we have entries from 2 days. As you can see, once we click one of the entries, we're redirected to the user result page corresponding to the entry. After we're on the user result page for one of the entries, we can then still edit the English input, generating new LaTeX, as well as email the code and the generated image to ourselves. By tapping this button in the top right-hand corner of the screen, the user can also access LaZe's help menu. The help menu is split up into distinct subsections that correspond to different divisions of mathematics. Within each subsection, a LaTeX snippet is shown along with the exact phrasing of how a user would talk to generate that LaTeX. It's frequently the case that Android speech-to-text misinterprets things. For instance, it tends to interpret summation as summation. To combat this, we enter the improve feature. The user inputs summation into the value box and says summation into the microphone. Then, when they hit submit, this key value pair is entered into an XML document shown here. As you can see in the XML document, summation is entered as a key and summation is entered as a value. Now, all interpretations of summation as summation will be correct. This improvement feature of LaZe has the potential to drastically improve our speech-to-text in the future as more users use it. In terms of other implementation difficulties, since LaTeX compilation isn't supported on unrooted Android devices, we sent the LaTeX to a backend, which delivered the image asynchronously to the app. This is saved locally to email to other users. Finally, we reflect upon the past and look on the future. User tests, for one, were very helpful in creating LaZe. Besides user interface suggestions, such as changing the color scheme or changing the sizes of some buttons, testers recommended including the generated LaTeX image in the email, as well as the history entries taking the users back to the results page where they could interact with past input. All the functionality that we've implemented is fully functioning. However, the speech-to-text API that we use doesn't always properly transcribe to the mathematical vocabulary perfectly. In the future, we might look for another API or continue to improve it using our improved recognition functionality. In addition, we'd like to be able to make a more robust app, implement more LaTeX commands, and even move on to more difficult LaTeX functionality, such as creating graphs using speech-to-LaTeX.